Hi, everyone. It's me.
Warren, you have a very large speaker on your phone.
Hi, Paris.
Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Pat.
Hi. We'll wait a few more minutes, okay?
Always.
All right.
Let me just do this. Let's see. Six.
Recording.
Nolan, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Pat?
I'm good. So I guess we could start. Just like you have 7:05. I just want to say good evening again, and I want to welcome all committee members and, of course, our guests from the community. The rules of order for Brooklyn Community Board 9 is in effect as of now. And so we'll start with the agenda, which is old business. 960 Franklin Avenue project update. Alicia?
Hi, good morning.
Is
Good
it-
afternoon. No, good evening. Woo, it's been a long day. um, the TRO is back in effect. The judge was very upset over the fact that the negotiations had
Before
fell
you go on,
through.
tell them when it was lifted and then and it's back in. What date
It was lifted on June. It was lifted on June 4th during the hearing, um, based upon the fact that this and she. Okay, so she lifted the TRL. She accepted the third amended petition, and she accepted our motion to include Community Board 9 onto the lawsuit. So Community Board 9 is now on the lawsuit. She basically was upset over the fact that the community board had voted not to do the in-person hearing. She felt that I was accused, I don't know how that happened, but I was accused of being the one who actually influenced you guys to make that vote. I really don't understand that one because I was not privy to any of the conversations that led to that vote. You guys violated the open meetings law by having a discussion about about not adhering to the city charter reform. That, you know, it is a city charter mandate that you have to have an in-person hearing. And clearly Community Board 9 does not have the ability to vote in violation of the city charter, nor is those provisions allowed to be discussed in private. You are allowed to go in private to discuss a lawsuit, but clearly the actions of the community board determination was not about a lawsuit, it was about the violation of the city charter mandate, which states that you have to do an in-person hearing. If you're going to conduct one.
Yeah, before you go on, I want to understand, you said Community Board 9 was added on. When was it added on?
June 4th, she made a decision over the bench. They call it a decision over the bench. She included so that she can direct the community board to do what it is that she feels like you need to do. But before that, she did not have jurisdiction over the community board. Now she has jurisdiction over the community board. So she can direct. So we're having a hearing on Thursday. Fred Baptiste, who's the chairperson of CB9, is supposed to show up and explain why the community board took the position that it took and any behaviors that led up to that. Other witnesses will be called. She's asking us petitioners to demonstrate that at least 20 people in the community does not have access or adequate access to a Zoom, and she's allowing us to submit live witnesses as well as affidavits to support that position. And we are demanding that the developers provide proof of their harm that they claim will happen if the ULURP process does not continue. They have submitted affidavits about the proposed harm, but they have not submitted any documentation to support those affidavits, and this is what we're asking for. And so we will, witnesses have been subpoenaed, so part of the hearing will be actually conducted at the courthouse. And so witnesses will be going to the courthouse. And part of, I guess, part of the process will also be online. And
when you say, is it online, meaning what? Other people can watch it, or is it still?
Well, you know, we have asked to open up the hearings. We have stated very clearly that it's a violation of our First Amendment rights to have a closed hearing. She's basically ignored that. She has allowed about 25 people to attend these hearings. All of them are the respondents, which is the city and the developers and all their friends and family. But she has not allowed anyone except one person for petitioners to attend. if now that the community board itself is on, I would assume that if you were a community board member and you wanted to attend, that because you are on the lawsuit now, you probably should request that you be allowed to attend the hearing. Again, it's being held both in person and via Microsoft Teams. If you're going to do in person, you would have to contact the court so they put your name down. And also the media is supposed to be allowed to attend, but they have to notify the court that they are media. And if a community board member wants to attend, I would assume that you would have to contact the court and ask to be able to attend because you are now a party to the case.
Okay. Thank you for that update.
Thank you.
Before we go on, anybody have any questions?
I have just a quick question. Alicia, do you know what time that starts?
Oh yes, the hearing is supposed to start at 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
So
Okay.
Nolan, if you are a community board member and you want to attend, you can send me an email and I will connect you to and that's for anyone. I will connect you to the judge's clerk, and then you guys will work it out.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank
But
you.
I'll be glad to assist the community board members in attending the hearing, because I think it's really important for you guys to hear what is actually transpiring at the hearings.
Any more questions before we move on? Okay. So we're gonna move on now, and we do have a presentation for the roof and landscape design for the Major R. Owens Health and Wellness Center, Community Center. It's formerly known as the Bedford Union Armory. Is there a representative here from there?
Hi, my name is David Chakowski. I'm with Marvel. I'm here to present that.
Okay.
Should I just get ahead, get started?
Oh, yeah, you can just tell us, is it just yourself or you have any other?
It's myself. I'm with Marvel Architects, and with me is Rachel Whiteside from the landscape architect side of the project.
Okay, so you would need to share our screening, am I correct?
Yeah,
Okay,
I can share that.
okay. You can go ahead and then,
Okay. All right. Are you able to see the screen?
yes.
So what we're here today to present is the landscape for the Bedford Union Armory Building 3. Just a little bit of history for this is that the project itself was presented to BDC, and there was one of the outstanding items was the landscape itself. At the time of original presentation, it was only at a schematic or a concept level. And so we're picking that back up, and also addressing some of the changes that have happened over the last year in terms of COVID. So just first slide, identifying where we're at, Crown Heights, between Union Street and President Street along Bedford.
And his answer is extremely
These first couple slides are from that original presentation, but just to sort of orient ourselves.
Excuse me, can everybody mute themselves, please?
So these first couple slides again are from that original PDC presentation, just giving a sense of the massing and scale of the campus, and orienting ourselves. So what we're talking about today is the landscape for the Building 3, which is the taller building. It's a 15-story building. There's 355 units, 50% of which are affordable housing. These concepts, so this again, these just sort of represent the approaches to some of the facade and materials. This is just showing the a checkered pattern that we were going for, sort of a light and dark play of colors. But we're, again, the focus is specifically on the courtyard and landscape of this project. So here's an aerial view from at the southwest corner, looking northeast. And so here is where the landscape portion of this starts. I will hand it off to Rachel, who can take you through these. And Rachel, I'm in control, so if you just want to let me know when to flip the slides.
That sounds great. Thank you, David. Hello, thank you for having us. My name is Rachel Whiteside. I'm with Joanna Pertz Landscape Architecture. We are a local Brooklyn-based landscape architecture firm, women-owned firm. And we are really pleased to be working on this project with Marvel. And I just wanted to begin by saying a lot has happened since we initially put out these designs with COVID. A lot has happened in the world, in our city. And we are excited to take a fresh look at, or have had the opportunity to take a fresh look at this building and the landscapes. We feel that people, now that more than ever, are turning to landscapes as places of solace, as places to gather, as safe places where they can be with their neighbors. And as landscape architects, we appreciate that and we're excited. With that, this slide is some initial conceptual inspirations for the courtyards for the building, which are viewing landscapes. So they're not accessible landscapes. They're landscapes that can be viewed from within the building and from above. And we look to the history of the Bedford Union Armory as it was a training grounds. We thought it was very interesting. We found some documents of military drill formations that they used, and we used that as an inspiration to come up with a graphic for the ground plane of these courtyards. And we also looked at the geologic history of Brooklyn as the site, and your neighborhood is on a high point of Brooklyn, which is a great place to be in the city. And it's also the geologic history is that Brooklyn is part of terminal moraine, which is stones and gravel, and that was lumps of earth that were left when the glacier receded. And so we wanted to incorporate some of that into our design. So you can see these islands, these mounds are a nod to that. So this is the previous design proposed for these interior courtyards, and then the new design, which is just a simplification of that with these mounded islands, which are the representing the mounds of Brooklyn and the terminal moraine that provide some verticality in the space and also allow us to plant some small trees and shrubs that can screen the building's mechanical and electrical and plumbing equipment that we have also here in this courtyard. We can go to the next. This is just the schematic design documentation of the technical drawings of this previously mentioned courtyard spaces. And we can go to the next. We have a section elevation looking at the Armory building to the north, showing these mounds and how the apartments will look upon this landscape. So we can go to the next. Here are some details that show how we're going to build them. It's a very simple detail of a landscape of a field of evergreen ground cover with paving strips within, and then these mounds that retain a greater amount of soil and allow for soil depth for shrubs. This is planted on the structure with the garage below, so that we need to mound up in order to get the soil depth for trees. Here we have the planting palette, which is a shade tolerant planting palette because the buildings are quite high, and they will be very low in maintenance and provide year-round green and some seasonal color. So we can go to the next. Here we have the previously proposed rooftop terrace, amenity terrace for the residents. And then we can go to the next to see the new and improved terrace. Let me just take a breath. So here, as I had already said, you know, with COVID, we've kind of shifted our gears here to try to really enhance this amenity roof terrace and to provide as many different types and a variety of gathering spaces for people to work from home, from their terrace, places for people to sit and gather with their neighbors, places for people to go and read a book, to be in shade, to be in sun, to look out at the city, to have a meal with their family. So I don't know if we have time to walk through the design or if we want to highlight some of just the elements.
You go ahead.
Okay, so maybe David, if you could go back to the slide, go back to the plan. I can walk you really quickly through the design. If you look at the door that's beneath the lounge, which is on the east side of the building, that's one place that you would access the terrace, and you would go out onto a wood boardwalk. Concept of a boardwalk is something that we thought would be really allow people to feel like they can move through the space. And then also we have stop. So this is a roof terrace, and we have those two, the lounge and mechanical are the bulkheads of the building. You can see in the section what it looks like below this drawing. So right to the right of that number 2 in the drawing is the door, which I was speaking about. So you would come out, you would get onto a boardwalk, and you would be able to cruise through all of these, a variety of different areas where you have benches against the building, benches looking out to the east with a back. You walk up a sloped deck to a raised lounge area that's between the lounge and mechanical bulkheads. And this area would be, has 3 raised deck areas with trees that provide shade that offer people the ability to just sit and relax, recline, or to be on chairs and move about. Then if you move over to the right or to the north, we have incorporated newly these large banquette seating areas. They look like with the 6 polka dots in there. These have built-in benches that enclose a little paved area with some movable tables. And these could be areas where, you know, a group of people sit, the tables could be cleared, they could have a small party, or just an individual could come and have their morning coffee. Then to the right or to the north, we have movable tables and chairs with umbrellas that provide shade. And this could offer a place to bring your dinner. And then surrounding those, we have these wood sun loungers where people can just go and read a book and rest, recline, socialize with their friends, their neighbors. And then to the north and west, we have two outdoor kitchen areas with grills, sink, and raised counter height seating, where people can go and have dinner or cook their dinner and bring it to a different spot on the terrace. And in the larger dining area, we have picnic tables with umbrellas. On the south side of the terrace, this stripy area is an outdoor fitness area. Now there's a fitness area within the building, but this provides another opportunity to get outside and to do your workout outside. And this, I'm sorry, to the east or below that, we have this wood deck, which could be used as a space for classes, for yoga. The yoga mats are shown here for scale and as a suggestion, or it could be used as kind of a gathering, flexible gathering space. So I think that kind of sums it up. I should add that we're going to add another door to the west above this lounge to provide a secondary access to the outdoor kitchen area and to allow people to easily get to different parts of the landscape. So that is the plan for the roof terrace, and we can move to the next slide, to just the technical drawings. Some earlier precedents showing the kinds of ideas. Now we have the wood deck platforms that I was speaking of that will have trees, allow people a flexible space to sit or recline. And then we have a detail of these sun loungers. Then the next page is the banquette seating that I mentioned. And with a high back, custom wood high back with movable tables in there. Then we have details of the wood deck and the platform, sloped path. And then next, some earlier inspiration slides. This is showing the different paving materials. In the fitness area, we have resilient safety surface tiles. In the middle here, we have wood decking, which are these wood deck tiles that sit on pedestals. And to the right is the precast concrete pavers that are often used on roof decks. They'll be light in color so they don't get too hot. Okay, and then we can move on. This is just the inspiration for the planted areas, and then we have the technical details for how the trees and the plants will be contained. And then we can go to the next slide. Here we have our roof terrace meadow palette. This provides a great variety of color throughout the seasons. We have native and adaptive plants, plants that attract pollinators, and trees for shade. And then this last slide is the kind of lighting that we will incorporate bollards throughout the design, and then very simple wall sconces on the low.
That is the end of the slides.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if there was any questions.
Okay, before the questions, David, you coming in front of the committee you want us to what?
This is so we're asking for your support for this the design that we're providing here.
Okay. Alicia, you have a question?
This is on top of the building.
Correct. So the drawing that we're looking at
Oh,
here.
wait. I didn't act. That wasn't a question.
Oh,
That was a statement.
no.
So this is on top of the building. So why are you coming to the public to access what we think about something that's going to happen on top of the building where the residents in the community will not be able to have access to? Like me. Why are you coming?
Exactly.
I just don't understand that. Why are you bothering us with the design that you're doing that you don't really need our approval for? Excuse me, asking for approval for what? And if we said no, would you change it? No, you wouldn't. So why bother? What's the deal?
You can let him answer.
I don't understand why you have a project that's on a roof that the people don't have access to, that you're all of a sudden asking us what we think.
My understanding, this is one of the steps that we have to take to go through with this project. It's PDC, part of the PDC approval goes through EDC, and this is what we've been told.
And who will have access to all of this?
The residents of the building would have access.
Yeah, exactly. Do I look like a resident to you?
Okay, listen now, we're not gonna be
Don't
rude.
answer
We're
that.
just gonna ask questions. Let him answer. Okay.
Don't answer that. Don't answer that. All right, okay.
Okay, you finished with the slides? We can open it up and,
I put my hand.
Ms. Barnes, excuse me. Ms. Barnes?
Well, I would say future community members would be part of this building and would have.
Well, hold on a second. I don't think we need the chart anymore, so we can
Okay.
open up. We could take
All
it.
right.
That way I can see other people.
Should I stop the screen share?
Yeah, you don't have anything else to show, right?
No, that was the presentation.
Okay, you can stop that.
Okay.
Okay, now, I think, Ms. Barnes, were you?
Yeah.
Question?
Thank you, Pat.
Uh-huh.
Yes, it seems like it is purely process that they are here showing this gated community. Initially, when they were going through the architectural plans, the ground level, I hope by some miracle that the public would be allowed in, but apparently not. And yes, it is just insulting to show the rooftop that we know we're not going to be privy to. So this is just process, David, correct? Because it is in fact a gated community, and it's making me very, very angry and very, very upset that you came here to show us what our community, what was public land, that we will not be privy to. So that is why you're here. What is the ground level new landscaping open to the public, or do we get a bench outside of this gate?
Sorry, there's no public courtyard access.
So then again, why?
Hold on, let's take it one at a time now. We're not gonna,
Yeah, sorry.
Again, you know,
excuse me, hold on a second, one at a time here. Nolan?
So I guess I just, building a little bit off on this, as just more of the official community board process, are we voting on this because it needs to go through PDC? Like, is this just informational? Do we need a resolution? This is, it's not a ULURP action. So I'm just trying to understand what our outcome is here from a process standpoint.
So your question was to me, not to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. That would just help, I think, too, just understand like what we need to know as well.
Okay. Someone else had a question. Esteban, you had a question?
Yeah, question and sort of really a comment. Just wanted to encourage you in the future, if you're going to come into a primarily Black and brown community, to use stock photos that reflect that, because developers have a tendency to use stock photos that are all white people, and it makes you wonder who they're actually expecting to be living in those buildings. So just a thought.
No, understood.
I think that they're basically telling you exactly what it's going to look like in the future. So they're trying to be real.
Okay, you have a question?
But it is insulting and disrespectful.
Okay, Alicia, come on now. Suki, you have a question?
Yeah, to follow up on Nolan's point, is there a representative here from EDC who can speak to the process?
What do you mean the process?
You're
I
saying
believe,
that it's part of the official process that you need to go through. Do you have a representative here with you from EDC who can explain that?
yeah, I believe, Justin, are you there?
Yeah, hey David. How's everyone doing today? My name is Justin Turner. I am here with
Could we
EDC
see
tonight.
you, please?
Yeah, just give me 1 second.
Alicia, I'm gonna mute you now because you're dragging my show here. Mhm.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Just remind me who asked the question so I can address.
Hi, it's Suki. I'm a board member. I'm asking what the process is that you need for us to vote on.
Yeah, I mean, so as David highlighted for you guys, so we're just here to possibly get a letter of support from you all in relation to the design that David and Rachel went over tonight. As you all know, the Major R. Owens was something that was decided with your community board almost 2.5 years ago. So we're just here tonight just submitting the design for the landscape.
Okay, and the letter of support is needed for what?
For PDC.
For what purpose? Can you?
So for the letter of support
Okay.
is for us to submit to the Public Design Commission, just so that we're like David highlighted, that this is a part of the process that was kind of outlined through the process of the Major R. Owens, was that step by step we would always kind of keep the community and the community board aware of any of the designs or changes in relation to the project.
So this is part of an agreement that you made with the city, with who? What is the legal framework for this? Because as the ULURP committee, we understand what ULURP is, but this is not part of the ULURP process. So can you explain to us what process this is part of? Was there an agreement with the city? Is this part of EDC's internal procedures?
So this is
I'm asking?
Yeah, absolutely, Suki. And PDCs are the Public Design Commission. Any type of design or change to the public landscape has to be submitted through them. And this is part of their process is that they want to see that we're engaging any project, not just EDC projects, that they're engaging.
Okay. Okay. Understood.
Mm-hmm. Nola, you have another question?
Just more of a statement. I mean, and Justin, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe PDC needs a letter of support to approve a project, correct? You're just asking, and if we kind of feel like it, we'll give it, but there's no actual sort of authority that we have one way or another.
I think your understanding is correct, Noah.
We'll take a couple more questions. Alicia, you got another question?
Yeah, I just want to clarify, we did not support this development project. So I just want you to be aware, Justin, that we voted against it. So please don't say that we agreed to it 2.5 years ago. Okay.
Esther Brown, you have a question? Okay, are there any more questions before I move on? I just want to let you, any more questions? What we have to do, Mr. Turner, is for a letter of support, we would have to bring it in front of the full board. In other words, we could vote here to bring it in front of the full board for a vote. That's how that would basically work. Am I correct, Fred?
That's great. So if there's a letter of support that's being requested, the ULURP committee would vote a recommendation that would go before the full board.
Okay. So we will vote to bring it in front of the full board. And the full board meets this month. One other thing, if it goes to the full board, Fred, would they give a 10-minute presentation or how would that work?
I think it would be helpful for the members who aren't present today, just to kind of get a synopsis in terms of what it is you're trying to accomplish. Perhaps even a little bit of the process as well, in terms of, where this is, what it is you're requesting from the board. There might be a couple of questions after that as well, at which point the board will vote. But Pat, just to make sure that we're clear, so we would look for a recommendation from the committee as well, if you're in favor, or if you're not, one way or another, and then the board could vote on that.
Okay. So we will be voting to bring it in front of the board. And did they leave? No. Justin, where to go? Oh, okay. So our next full board meeting is on, what is the date?
June the 23rd, Wednesday, June the 23rd.
All right, Wednesday, June 23rd at 7 p.m. And I guess we will let you know prior to that, because you'll have to do the 10-minute presentation. Okay.
All right.
Pat, I'd like to make a motion that we vote to make as a committee to make a recommendation on this. Do I have a second?
We can, but we could vote at a later time unless you want to do it now. We're just voting really to bring it in front of the full board. Is that what you're asking?
Right, but usually, right, but Fred is saying that as a committee, we can also make a recommendation, which is what the committees normally do. Can we vote to make a recommendation on this?
No, I'm,
to the full
my
board?
question is, what are you making a recommendation on? I don't understand what you're saying to me.
As to the design that was just presented to us. The Public Design Commission is asking for our letter of support or not.
Fred, can you help me out with this? I don't really understand what she's saying, because he's really just asking us for the recommendations for, I guess, for the design. I don't know whether if we say yes or no.
Right. Well, I think what the motion would be is whether the ULURP committee is in support of the proposed, the proposal for the boardwalk of the design, or if the committee is against it. That committee would, that recommendation, whatever your vote is, would come up to the full board, and the full board would consider it in that instance. Also informed of what the ULURP said, the ULURP's opinion with regards to that.
Okay. So we need a motion, and am I correct?
Right. The motion, you should have a motion. The recommendation should be, that the ULURP committee is either in favor or in opposition. And that would go up to the board, and the board will consider it at that. So we'll ask you the question, okay, this is being, recommend, this is something that the ULURP committee considered, and the board is going to vote on it, taking into consideration your recommendation.
Right. So can I say, like, the motion would be a letter of support and request from the full board to support the roof and landscape design for the major R-on Health and Wellness Center.
I would say, I want to be careful with the wording, because I don't want you to vote in favor, if that's the motion and everybody says no, because then that kills the motion. There's no recommendation. So
I'm trying to get it in front of the full board, because that's what.
Right, no, it'll come before the full board. So I mean, but just I think you just want to be clear as a body if you're in favor or if you're opposed. So if you want to talk about it a little bit, just kind of get a sense.
I think we need to talk about it a little bit so I can get on the same page with everybody.
That's fair enough. And at the end of that, I think you should have.
Then we'll do the motion
for one way or another, and that'll go to the exec and the full board.
Right, because regardless to Mr. Turner, whichever way the committee votes, it still has to go to the full board. Okay, so but we want a discussion.
Hey,
Hey, Pat, it's Warren.
Oh, I'm sorry. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Go ahead. Mhm.
I think we should table this motion because I think we're in uncharted territory here. So I think we should just hold this up until we define what's going on. Because as Elisa said, why are you bringing this to it? You know, I don't get why they're bringing this to us. It's not a land use item, and I just don't get it. So I would appreciate tabling it until we get more information.
Anybody else?
I mean, I somewhat agree, Warren, but I think I would phrase it as we are not going to issue a letter in support of or against because this is not public space. Therefore, we have no, you know,
that's my point.
We have no business commenting on this.
I agree 100%. Let's table it and research it, okay?
Well, I prefer not to table. I prefer us to deal with it.
Yeah, but how do you
If
deal with it when
you're
you know what's
saying,
going on?
if you're saying that, I mean, basically you're saying like we don't know why we're voting.
Yeah.
So
Pat, this is like 10 stories in the air. I don't think this is a ULURP matter. So I think
you don't think it's a ULURP issue?
No.
I mean, I think that public design is a ULURP issue, and I truly appreciate that the Public Design Commission is asking the community board for our input. But the problem is that if it's not public space, we cannot comment on it. And I think that that should be part of whatever resolution we issue. I think that if the design were to change so that this were accessible to the public, we could then comment on it.
Sugi, that's exactly my point. So I think we should table it till we learn what's going on. Because in my experience, this is a new situation.
Well, if I may, just for a quick second, just for the consideration of the committee. I think part of the reason why there might be a jurisdiction from the board perspective is that the whole project is built on public lands. So there is a nexus touch point in which, yeah, the city is somewhat involved in the process. But again, it's still fair to say that you're not in support of it. The recommendation is that the committee is not in support of it because you have doubts whether there is such a nexus or if there's anything else with regards to that. But I think that recommendation is good for the full board to get, at least so that way we have a context in terms of you looked at it, you liked it, you didn't like it, or you have doubts whether this is a question we should even consider, and the full board will take care of it at that point and dispose.
I agree. So are we can we get a motion?
Can our motion be more neutral? I mean, it kind of sounds like we're all in agreement. So can it just be that exact language saying, rather than what Warren's saying, table it, just say that, we feel like because this is not a public space, we cannot either recommend or, not support this design change. Just say, we've looked at it, but, we're not going to make a decision on it, essentially.
That right there, write it down.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, Nolan, when you're making the motion, it still has to be brought in front of the board. So I mean,
yes, yeah, I understand that, but in terms of what the committee says, essentially just summarizing what everyone else has said here, which is that, the motion is that we feel like Community Board 9 can either support or not support the design as proposed, given that it's not public space and has no jurisdiction, CB9 has no jurisdiction over that type of space.
That sounds good. Now, did you write it down so when the motion comes
Sure.
that way we would know what it is?
I'm making motions and writing it down.
Right. And Warren, you what?
I second.
Okay. We do have to do the roll call because we see we even have a quorum.
Yeah. So now you want me to make the motion, write it down, and do a roll call, Pat?
Of course, it's the last day. Why not? You missed last time.
That's true. I have to make up.
Hey, so look, you're under punishment.
All right, I'll do the roll. Sorry, we asked Fred, are you in this roll call or no? No, okay.
He can't vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, please just put me as present, but I'm not.
Right, he doesn't.
Right, correct. Okay,
Now,
so
before you go on, Nola, we have two
Yep.
members that were removed.
correct.
Okay,
Yeah, they're no longer on the list.
right.
Okay, so Warren,
Agree.
okay. So I guess a yes vote would be supporting the motion as written, which is that we're neutral.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. So Warren Burke is yes. Suki Chong,
Yes.
is Nicola Cox here today?
Yes,
Oh, she's here.
yes,
Great.
I'm here.
John Craver,
Yes.
Esteban Hiron,
Yes.
Nolan Levinson, yes. Patricia Moses
Yes,
and Thomas Thomas. Is he here?
I guess he's not here.
All right.
We have a quorum, right?
Yes, so that's seven yeses and one absent. So the motion passes.
Great. So on the 23rd of June, will be brought in front of the full board, Mr. Turner. And Fred, that would be put on the agenda for them to do at least a 10-minute overview.
Yes, we'll consider that at the exec, and we'll have that put on the agenda as part of that.
Okay,
So yeah, so Mr. Turner, so we'll probably expect. I'm sorry. Is it Chakowski? Right.
Yeah.
So we probably would like for you to present as well again
Okay.
for the general board meeting on the 23rd. At which point the full board will give a recommendation.
Okay.
We might suggest that you change the photos and put a little black people in this, considering that the name is Major Owens. Just a recommendation. Appease us a little bit.
okay, thank you. So,
Thank you. We're
all
listening.
right, thank you very much. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to a residence, well, public hearing. So we know now that the public hearing is not gonna take place, it's postponed until, I don't know when, but evidently, as Alicia said, that there's a hearing on Thursday. And we should know a little bit more about what's gonna happen at that point. So we can move on from there, so don't need to even talking about it. Before we close out, community residents' concerns. Does anybody have anything to say from the community? Nobody has any concerns? Ms.
And
Barnes,
I just wanted to drop one thing
I'm
before
sorry.
you close out tonight.
who's talking?
So is this Richard from the Borough Press?
Oh.
So before what we heard today, I was holding June 29th for a hearing. Obviously, this information and Thursday will confirm where life's at. So we'll obviously know if I'm doing something else on that Tuesday, the 29th, but I just want to put the date out there in case whatever happens on Thursday, that we would know if the clock's ticking or not clicking. And if it's ticking, obviously the 29th is the date I would be holding. And if it's not ticking, then that night is freed up for me.
Okay, so now this is what I guess I need to understand. So if our clock is stopped, yours still goes on?
No, if your clock stops, my clock stops, right? Because my clock can't start until your clock is exhausted, or you exhaust your clock by making a recommendation, right? So if Thursday confirms that the clock is stopped, then obviously I'm not doing the 29th because your clock stopped, you haven't held a hearing. All right, but going into today, I did know Thursday was happening, I didn't know about the 4th, but anyhow, so I just put that on my calendar as a placeholder, whether you want to bother putting in a placeholder or not. But we'll obviously learn Thursday, because if I have to do the 29th, because your clock is ticking, I gotta get a notice out 10 days prior to that, which means I would have to get things wrapped up by the 18th of June to put it out where it needs to go. So I'm in limbo, obviously, and we'll see. You know, everything is subject to being flexible until we get more information.
The clock stopped June 4th, Barack.
If you have something you could send me, I'd love to have it.
So you don't know anything about the hearing?
I
Ridiculous.
only heard that Thursday is a date. I didn't know anything about the 4th. Anything you'd like to share, I'd be appreciative.
Okay, I'll send you the order.
Excellent. I appreciate that, Alicia, very much. Thank you. So if that's the case, then, you know, everything about the 29th is mute.
Okay. Community, Ms. Barnes?
Yes, Pat, or maybe Mia. My question is there any representatives from BBG here tonight?
Yeah, Miss Barnes, this is Ethan Lustig with the Garden. I'm here tonight.
Good evening. The question is, last week BBG hosted an outdoor event in the gardens. And the community wants to know why not have a face-to-face public hearing in the gardens? Why or why not? Why hasn't BBG offered the gardens, the spaces, the open air spaces in Brooklyn Botanical Gardens, so that the public could view the hearing? One large screen and the resources and the tools that you use for the outdoor event that was last week, Ethan, whatever your name is.
So yeah, I mean, look, nobody's approached us about that. If the board is interested in doing that, then they can, you know, get in touch.
I just can't.
So the question is that when is the board, I mean, Community Board 9 did not like the developer's plan. When is this committee going to sit there and reach out to other places and find out where you can do an in-person hearing? You haven't asked BBG. Who have you asked? From what I know, you haven't asked anybody. So why haven't you asked? Why aren't you sitting there trying to find an outdoor space?
Well, it's my understanding, I mean, it wasn't us at that point. It was the developers who were the people that was reaching out and doing whatever. So.
Excuse me,
As far as
Pat.
the board, yeah. As far as the board,
If I can at this point, because this is something that is in litigation, that's a conversation that will happen at the hearing, and we'll have conversations with the judge at that point, and all the parties.
Yeah, but what has that got to do with Community Board 9 sitting there looking for space? That has nothing to do with a hearing.
There's a temporary restraining order saying we cannot have a hearing. So when we actually go to the hearing and speak to the judge, we will know what directions we're going to from there.
Fred,
we're going to refrain from any. I'm sorry?
I said more important than that, the community board has already voted no.
Right.
And as far as the questions go, you can do that at the hearing. I don't understand the questions.
Because the community board doesn't have the power to sit there and vote no against the city charter.
Okay, the conversation, this conversation, it doesn't make sense at this point. There will be further conversations. There'll be further conversations. There'll be updates after the hearing.
okay. Any other questions? So again, it's nothing we can really do now. We'll wait and see what's going to happen with the hearing. And Fred will be there representing Community Board 9, and I guess there will be people that's going to represent planning board. City Planning Board. So before we close, or adjourn, I think that we break for the summer. And so I'm not sure what's getting ready to happen in terms of us just even going forward right now. I'm not really sure of that, what's gonna happen. So you want to say something before we close out, Fred?
Yeah, just very briefly. Listen, I just want to thank all the members of this year's ULURP committee for the phenomenal work, the time, the energy, the insights that you put into this. This is not an easy committee by far. This is probably one of the harder committees on the community board. But I really appreciate the viewpoints, the insights, the conversations, the thoughtful conversations you had, and the hard work you put in. So I want to thank everyone. In particular, I do want to thank the chair, Ms. Pat Moses. You've done a phenomenal job all year long. Again, like I said, this is not an easy committee to begin with, but you've come in, you've done the work, you've worked with the committee, you've worked with the community, and I just want to say thank you so much for all of your service this year. You've always been a phenomenal member, and you took it to another level in your leadership of the ULURP committee this year. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And again, thanks to all of the other committees.
Right. And I just want to say to all of the committee members, I enjoyed working with each and every one of you. And Nolan, definitely thank you for the minutes. You've done an excellent job. And Alicia, I thank you for giving me like 3 headaches all at one night and one day. But I mean, it's not like we're going anywhere. It's just like we're just, I don't know what we're going to be doing in terms of meeting, and what's going to happen. But I definitely enjoyed working with each and every one of you through good and bad times. Ms. Barnes, you want to say something? Say something nice, or I'm not gonna let you talk.
I'm going to say, did you see my hand clap?
No.
I had my hand, I'll put it up again. You did a very good job of considering the folks in the swamp you work in. I had to qualify it, Pat. And the community does thank you. I'm trying to put up my hand clap for you again. There it is, Pat.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Anybody else want to say anything? Nobody else want to say anything?
Well, enjoy your summer.
Okay, everybody, enjoy your summer. We don't know what's going to happen in terms of us coming back together. And Fred, we'll see you soon, because we still got other meetings we got to go to. We still have a board members meeting on the 23rd. And everybody, don't forget to vote on June 22nd if you haven't voted. I'm not running for anything. I'm just saying it, I see Mr. Hollingsworth, you're there. You want to say anything before we close out?
No, I just want to say thank you to everybody for the service to the community. You all are extremely dedicated. You care about the neighborhood, obviously, and yeah, sometimes just saying thank you is enough. So thank you to everyone for the work you all do.
Okay, so we're gonna end. See y'all later. Bye-bye.